You're now tuned into Thorough Black Talk with Tad, Keisha, and Ashe. Every Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m. Don't forget about our sister station, Constructive Talk Radio, Tuesdays, 8 to 10 p.m.
Good evening, family. Welcome to another edition of Thorough Black Talk with your sister Keisha, your brother Tad, and your brother Ashe SJ will be joining us shortly. Brother Tad is on assignment tonight, but Ashe will be in here in a few. But tonight we're going to continue our conversation from last week where we were discussing critical points in history and relationships. You know, a lot of Black organizations to this day have fallen by the wayside. And what I mean by Black organizations is organizations that are Black led and Black financed. Organizations that remain today aren't Black led and Black financed, at least not well known organizations. You have your Rainbow Pushes, your Black Lives Matter, your NAACPs. None of these organizations are Black led and Black financed. So tonight, we're just going to continue what we were discussing last week because we think it's very important that our brothers and sisters understand who the real power movers were, power shakers were in history. Shout out to the Professor William Mackey Study Group. I was with them last night. A shout out to Dr. Arthur Lewis. I saw him last night. The History Hitman Mike Graves saw him last night, and the big homie Trust Graham dropped some jewels last night that I'm going to share with you all this evening. Because as I've said many times on this program, it's important that we understand who the architects of our history really are. And sometimes you get names, places, and dates, and you really don't understand, where did they all get these ideas from? Where did Dr. Chancellor Williams get the idea to write The Destruction of Black Civilization or The Rebirth of African Civilization? Brother Trust last night also discussed how Dr. Chancellor Williams was a novelist prior to writing those two nonfiction pieces. In fact, those of you who are of Generation X and before, I know that during your high school years, at least if you made it to the 10th grade, you got to read The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. And that was written by Chancellor Williams. And we don't understand, or we really don't connect those dots of how a historian such as himself can come to that point. Historians are oftentimes great writers, sometimes great orators, and they all do what they can in the position that they are in. So again, family, we're going to continue that conversation tonight. But just a little fun fact for you all before we get deep into it. Earlier this week, I found a meme rather on hush puppies. Hush puppies, the cornbread bowls that some of us eat. Where did that come from? And I always knew where the terminology came from, but I was able to find something that was just floating on the web, a meme that will simplify it for you all. And I like to keep things simple. So here's a fun fact. It says slaves used boiled up cornbread to throw at hound dogs to escape at night. That's why they are called hush puppies. So the next time, you make a batch of hush puppies or you go to a restaurant and you eat some hush puppies, understand that was boiled up cornbread to keep the hound dogs off of their tails while they sought freedom. So when we talk about African history is world history. Every You cannot talk about world history and leave Africa out of it. You cannot talk about African American history or African history and keep the world out of it. We're not in a bubble. And a lot of things, a lot of conveniences that you all enjoy today, our great ancestors invented them, including a lot of the dishes that you love so much. And so oftentimes you hear the phrase soul food. It's more than a dish, if you will, food, if you will. It's a history behind that. And oftentimes we don't know the history. You think, or you have been told that, soul food was the food that enslaved Africans were able to muster up the scraps and season and make palatable for themselves and others to eat. But there is a history behind a lot of the dishes that we eat today, or know of, no longer eat today, but you should always know that history now. I want to discuss, and I want to give a shout out to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I believe it was this day in 1975 where when he transitioned. So you want to give much respect to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for his work and his genius of the Nation of Islam. Despite your personal beliefs, there hasn't been another movement since the UNIA that have able to galvanize our people, not just here in the United States, but around the globe. You have NOI chapters in Europe, on the continent, in the Caribbean, in South America, to this day. And so we want to give our thanks to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for his genius. Now, I say that to say is last night during the study group, Brother Trust Graham, again, shout out to him, he brought out the fact that we should be reading, or should try to read, the new book that was written by Les Payne, The Dead Are Arising, the life of Malcolm X. And he said last night that you would get more out of that book, of this book, than you would have reading the autobiography of Malcolm X. And I can tell you, I'm up to chapter 7 now. I'm listening to the audio book, but in chapter 7 now, and I've learned more about Malcolm, his family, the UNIA, W.E.B. Du Bois, in the first 7 chapters than I've ever known reading the autobiography of Malcolm X. You get an inside look of his family, his family's tenure with the UNIA. There is a lot of description about his mother that you would not have gotten, that you will not get reading the autobiography of Malcolm X. So again, you can check out that book, The Dead Are Arising, The Life of Malcolm X, by Les Payne. I believe Les Payne died in 2018 or 19, something like that, but his daughter was able to complete it. So you want to get that and check it out. It's a pretty thick book, but or you can listen to the audio book. Some of you got Audible, use them credits that you have, and you can download and listen to it at your own leisure. But it was mind-blowing. Just the first 2 chapters was just mind-blowing to me, especially hearing about the UNIA, how Garvey and WEB had differences, and they give specific details of those differences. I don't want to give it away to you all because I want you to read or listen to the book yourself, but I can tell you, you will not be disappointed. Again, I was up to chapter 7 and I had to stop so we can come in here and do this tonight. My brother Ashe SJ is in the building. The young God is in here. What's going on, my brother? How you feeling?
Yeah. Feeling great, sis. Yo, I'm just excited to have this convo. Once again, doing this in the spirit of our ancestors. This is Black History Month. Wrapping it up, and we're gonna come out strong. Make sure that we setting y'all in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? Just reinvigorating and bringing those names up, reincarnating them. The work, especially the work that they did. So it's always good to reflect on those things, and that's why we had these conversations, so we could just really add on to the cipher and add on to the work that they have done and be even greater. So I'm excited. I know we got some great information. I know Keisha said she's gonna school us tonight. I'm excited to hear, when Keisha goes in her bag and her research bag, y'all already know it's about to be something special, man. So I know tonight y'all gonna want to make sure y'all have some pen and paper ready, because a lot of information is shared. And we love also when people, when they watch the show and they engage with us and then they go back afterwards and check out like some of the things that we drop, then you add on to it. You might find something or a book or, an article from somewhere that we never even read. We can add on to it. And this is how we really build and set the next generation to be better than us. So this is a cipher. This is really our platform, and this is how we rock up here. This is a family. We operating like a village, and more and more we just gonna keep growing that mentality. It starts in the mind, and then after that we could do it in the flesh. And hopefully when this corona thing is over, you know what I'm saying, we can start having our events again, because at one point we were doing some events. We had an event in Brooklyn, and we always do our Karamos every year. We gather with our family. Of course, this year we weren't able to do that, so shout out to all of the extended family, everybody that comes out, supports us and everything that we do. Shout out to Swap, you know what I'm saying? Everybody that support me over at all of the things that I do. But I'm really just looking forward to really getting back on the ground in the street and utilizing some of this information, putting this information to work, because it's not just about regurgitating stuff and sounding good and things of that nature. I mean, really, I just want to kick back and relax and be an African and just, be free. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing this for self-aggrandizement to big my chest up or nothing. I want to be happy at the end of the day. And I think some of our revolutionaries or warriors or whatever you call it, we forget that. We forget the whole point of this thing is to get free. You know what I'm saying? It's like, don't ever lose that sense of your African humanity. You know what I'm saying? Where you can't even, appreciate, and be grateful for the things that you got, or the things that, that's right in front of your face and you're not paying attention to. So we just always got to remember to stay. I used to say grounded, but then Baba Baruti, he put it in a proper perspective, and he said he don't say grounded, he says stay centered. You know what I'm saying? Stay centered. And of course that, also alludes to being African centered, but as long as you in your center, it's like a target. When you shooting, you at the range, you going for the center, right? But what else has to be centered? Your scope, your beam. If you're using a rifle, you got a beam on it. That got to be centered. If that's not, your alignment is off. You know what I'm saying? What's your whole alignment for? What's the scope? That's for you to get the clear vision, and that gives you the opportunity to actually have a goal. So it starts with your intention and your goal. But if you don't have everything centered from the beginning, then the goal that you going after might not even be something that is for you. It might not even be something that is a part of you, your genetic, DNA, your code, your makeup, like who you are, who your ancestors were. A lot of us get on these paths, and it might not even be the path for you. You might need to do a whole change, switch it up, change your career, change your attitude, change your way of thinking, your way of eating, everything. You know what I'm saying? So this is why the intent is for us to always stay centered, and make sure that, our vision, our thought, word, and deed, everything is together, you're uniform, and making sure that we are on the right page so we could get freedom, man. Because I really just want to kick back. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't have to have so many of our elders go on, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. They still fighting this fight. I mean, like, of course, it's a beautiful thing to see that. But at the same time, they should be training the next generation so that they don't have to continue this battle and die, like without that victory. We need to be getting that victory or getting a step closer towards that. The elders everybody should have a time to have some leisure time, you know what I'm saying, to enjoy their life, enjoy their family, enjoy the people that's around them, and enjoy the fruits of their labor. But what's happening is a lot of our people, especially warrior mindset people, revolutionaries, whatever you want to call it, we don't ever get to bear the fruit. We don't ever get to enjoy, after all of the labor we put in, we don't ever see the results and get to enjoy that. You know what I'm saying? We just think that we're supposed to keep fighting and fighting. And if you think about that, that's not really the most efficient way to do things. So up here on our platform, we always try to figure out, like, what's a better way that we could do something? How can we be more efficient? They say, the saying is work smart, not hard. A lot of us is just working hard. We putting in work for years and years and years, and we working hard, but we not working smart. Somebody else could come and they first day on the goddamn job and they doing something better than you because they working way smarter and they putting in less effort. You know what I'm saying? But more brain power, less muscle, more brain power. So that's what it's all about with us. It's all about just self-improvement. We just try to utilize this information to inspire people and things of that nature. As well as entertainment as well. We got to keep ourselves entertained. And that goes back to what I said about leisure time and just enjoying life, family. We can't lose that sense. And like I was saying about Keisha, like I was saying about the elders and the people that been putting in this work for so many years, and then they transition and things of that nature. We just had actually a few days ago, I think it was about 3 days ago, Amos Wilson's birthday just passed on. I think it was the 23rd. Yeah. So that was 2-3 days ago. Yeah. The 23rd was Amos Wilson's birthday, February 23rd, 1941. So, in the spirit of him, he's definitely, a power heavy hitter, when it comes to a lot of our people's mindset and inspiration and, things of that nature. When it comes to being a revolutionary or whatever you want to call it, Amos Wilson is one of the forefront leaders, one of the real solid African ancestors that we have. And he just did so much great work. He was an author. Obviously, a lot of our people know about him. He wrote a lot of books. Cool point that we get here is he actually taught at CUNY. This was before my time, but he taught at CUNY City University. That stands for City University in New York, I think, Keisha. That's what CUNY stands for. Right. That's probably the city colleges, that are out here in New York. Amos Wilson taught at CUNY for a bunch of years, and I believe he got his PhD when he became a doctor. He got that from Fordham, so that's out here in New York. But he studied undergrad at Morehouse. But yeah,
it's funny you say that, Ashe, because Trust Graham was talking about that last night of how so many of our great ones have put in so much work. And they are dying alone and dying poor. He talked about Dr. Ben died in a nursing home, Dr. Clark, and so on and so forth. And, we don't have a mechanism, if you will, to take care of our great historians and scholars or our family members. We got to turn them over. People say you turn your kids over to be educated by this system. However, a lot of us turn our parents and grandparents over as well. It begins to be a burden, if you will, especially if you have an elder in your family who has dementia or Alzheimer's. That can be very, very tiresome. It can be a lot. Especially when you have to continue to provide a living or run a business. So a lot of people put their loved ones in nursing homes, not just even the elders, but some people who have children who have developmental issues are in these homes. You know, shout out to Team Swap. You know, we volunteered at one such home in Queens. So it's a lot. And yesterday, no, was it Sunday? Was the first day I took the subway in a long time. You know, if I'm not riding, I'm in an Uber or a Lyft or whatever. But I took the subway Sunday, and everybody is just batshit crazy. I mean, it's crazy. It's like it's getting worse. It's getting worse with mental illness. And we have to have something better than what we have now, brother. And you mentioned, you know, when this thing COVID is over, but I was reading in the paper this morning, there's a new variant of said COVID. So, or at least that's what they're reporting, that there is a new variant. So who knows what is to happen now, you know? And there's a lot of media marketing to get our people to get these vaccinations. And, you know, a lot of our people say they ain't with it. You know, they ain't with it. They not messing with it. And I can understand now. Shout out to Sister Joyce and Brother Monty. You know, I thought about them, and she puts the comment in exactly when you was talking about going to the range. You know, when I was at UAM, Brother Monty will always, every week make sure I have new reading material on firearms and self-defense. And every week he would come with stacks of papers. He would go to the library and get copies and bring them to me. I still got a whole bunch of them right down there in the crate. So I thank him for always looking out for me as far as that is concerned. He gave me a lot of education as far as that is concerned. So get well, Brother Monty. You know, you always on my heart and in my mind. You know, all the best to you and Sister Joyce always, because they are two people who also gave a lot for our people to be educated in Brooklyn. You know, after Brother Padnar passed away, the Sister Joyce picked up right where he left off. She was right at Leola Maddox's side every week. So kudos to them always. But, you know, Brother Ashe, it is important that we take time for ourselves. And I'm a strong proponent of that. You know, when I go off the grid, I'm off the grid. You know, you, Brother Tad, my family, you got my emergency contact information in case something go down. But everybody else, I got to get off the grid. Don't call me. Don't reach out to me. Nothing. If I get a call from Brother Ashe or Brother Tad, it's serious. So I'm going to call back. But everybody else, I cut them right off. Everybody's on block when I go off the grid. Because you have to have that. You have to be able to rejuvenate yourselves and take care of yourselves. Not just yourselves, but your families. We got families. We got significant others. You know, we got to give that time, you know. Yeah, people breaking up left, right, and center.
It's wisdom in that too, you know, Keisha, because and that's something that a lot of people, you know, because we think like, oh, you got to go so hard and you got to be this kind of version. And then we get into the politics that we create for ourselves when it comes to like being a revolutionary or warrior. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like this stigma where like you got to keep this up and like uphold this image for other people. And you get caught up in that sometimes too. But you can't forget the wisdom in self-reflection, you know, not even just self-reflection, but like when you take yourself out of a situation and you just spend some time, you know, taking a step back from it, it also gives you a whole new perspective for when you jump back in. You know what I'm saying? And then when we're talking about like longevity, you know, like that is extremely important. Being able to take yourself out, you know, revamp, reinvigorate, and come back with that same love that you got for our people, maybe from a different avenue, a different angle. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot I've seen, like I'm a young brother, but in my short time, you know what I'm saying, really doing this work, I've seen people come and go. You know what I'm saying? I've seen people that seem like they solid, you know what I'm saying, and even been with been around some of the the most strongest, powerful bobbers around, and you know, and all of the you know, the queen mothers, they've been around everybody. And then you turn the page and they talking about they dealing with white people, love everybody, and the only way you want to win this war is you open up your arms, and you know, or they don't want to fight no more. Maybe they just give up. You know what I'm saying? They just go into some whole different avenue that is totally contradictory to us getting free and us really building, you know, an African nation. You know, so if you're talking about longevity, yeah, it's very important for us, you know, to focus on that and realize that it's mental health. You know, these things are really important, and we shouldn't be, you know, when you fight in this battle, like it should feel good at the same time. Like we know it's a struggle, we know it's hard and things of that nature, but you have to have a genuine love for this, and you need to be able to find like the silver lining, for lack of better words. You need to be able to find like hope in all the darkness and find a piece of light, you know, because that's the only little piece of light, that little thing that you're going to get that's going to continue to make you push and fight this battle. Because when you start to see people that look like you fighting against you when you doing the work for them, trust me, it's real easy to give up. And I've seen people give up before they even get to that part. And people give up real quick and just throw in the white towel and assimilate, you know, or they just they don't even give it. They might stay in the same cipher, in the same circle, and then just be the ultimate pessimist and say, "Oh, you can't do this," or they gonna shut you down if you do that. You know what I'm saying? Then we got these damn cancers in our mind, in our circle, in our group of friends we talk to all the time. They literally nothing but cancers, you know. So I mean, this is something that, you know, like when we say like sit at the feet of the elders, these are the jewels that they drop, you know, because they have been in this battle, in this fight for decades and decades. You know,
True.
so it's real important. So you can't be that egotistical as a young person and sit there and be like, oh, you an elder, you just older, and like I don't got nothing to learn from you. I can't relate. Like, listen, this is why we keep repeating the same mistakes, because we're not studying the losses, or we're not studying the little loopholes and the things that we can improve ourselves on. You know, and that's what Amos Wilson was all about, man. Like self-improvement, you know, figuring out a lot of these things that's really bringing us down, you know. So I really appreciate the Baba Amos Wilson. He brought up so many great things. He wrote so many books. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, everybody knows the huge book, Blueprint for Black Power. Everybody knows about that book, you know. But he has many other ones. In fact, a lot of these people out here, not to throw no shots.
Yeah, black on black violence in service of white domination.
A lot of these people out here that are writing books and things of that nature have been inspired from him. Like, especially if you want to talk about childhood education, you know what I'm saying? And
yes,
psychology of Black children, you know what I'm saying? Like Amos Wilson, he had the book Development and Psychology of the Black Child. That's what the title. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these scholars and these authors and things of that nature, they need to pay homage and, you know, just show respect, give credit where it's due. You know what I'm saying? Amos Wilson was one of the best, you know, one of the best. He was a Pan-Africanist, you know, and he was a psychologist. Actually, that's what he taught in CUNY was psychology. You know, so yeah, we just really need to keep him in the spirits, man, as we move forward with everything, because, you know, I don't want to see our people get so invigorated when they see these movies like what was the one that just came out, Keisha? The one about Black Panther, about Fred Hampton and all that.
Judas and the Black Messiah.
Yeah, they get excited for a week, you know. The next movie is out. They forgetting about everything, you know. They forget about the whole thing, you know. So we got to just stay focused, stay centered, like I said, man, and just always find other ways to like reinvigorate yourself. And, you know, if it's not just the love for your people, you know what I'm saying, and you got to make
love of yourself.
Exactly. Make it fun.
That's where it starts. You got to love yourself. That's why I say you make this personal. It's love of myself. I want my environment, my space right. And so in order to make my space right, I got to make sure your space is right.
Word.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm watching, all of these so-called, I don't know, I call them talking heads, come up here and they start talking this nonsense about, pushing this vaccine and, protests here and protests there, always talking to the wrong people. And I'm going to show a clip tonight on who the wealthiest families are in America today. Why you ain't protesting in front of their house where their kids go to school at? You really about it? I'm going to show you where you should be going. But, it's funny too, Ashe, because you was on me about having brothers join the bike and hike, and you ain't the only one. So I really been thinking about it, and I may do two. One that will be co-ed, and the other will be traditional as we do in October for the sisters only. If I do the co-ed one, it's going to have to be in June. Because after June this year, it gets crazy for me. I got so many different things that are going on. So my time is limited. But I'm definitely thinking about it. I got some more inbox messages, why we wasn't invited. I said, oh, here we go. I said, but, Ashe says it. He put it in the atmosphere. So now all these brothers want to come through. So I might do two. We'll see. I'll definitely let everybody know for certain by the end of April. I just have to move some things around because, like I said, from June on, every weekend for me is pretty much booked. So I'm just a busy person. So we're going to make it happen. Again, sisters, what we do in October will remain the same. It will just be for the sisters, the bike and hike. But the co-ed one most likely is going to be in June, towards the end of June.
Yeah. I got my bike, so I'm there.
I don't want to hear nothing else from Ashe. Nothing.
Because it looks beautiful, and the park being named after a Black woman as well, and it being right there, New York, Brooklyn, we got to take advantage of these things, because next thing you know, it's not going to be named after a Black woman no more, it's going to be named after, and it's interesting how you bring that up too, because I was just thinking about, even if you look at, all of the streets and the avenues that are named after our people.
Mm-hmm.
Right here in Bed-Stuy where I live, we got a Malcolm X Boulevard. But before that, I remember actually when I was young, it was also called Reed Avenue.
Yep.
I'm sitting back and think about who the hell is Reed? You got to look these damn people up. Of course, you're going to find a devil. You know what I'm saying? But we don't even think about all of the streets and the avenues and things of that nature that are named after people. We don't even remember that they're named after people, and look who these people up. Look these people up and see who they are and what they did. So we actually have a park or a street or anything like that named after people of ours, especially somebody that was solid, that did some work for us. We really gotta own that, because Shirley Chisholm Park, shoot, if we don't go and do them bikes,
you're a taxpayer. It's free. What's better than free?
Yep.
I love free.
Next
you can have an event, workout, get to meet some people. Like I said last time, we had people come from all over. Somebody came from Atlanta. Sister Ray came from Miami. We had people come from all over. Sisters that I've met, and the Friday night DJ parties, they showed up. So it was a lot, family that I haven't seen in God knows how long. A lot of people came through, and it's a good time. You get to do things that you may not have done before. And I'm not charging you nothing. It's free. That's it. Free.com. I like that. But we definitely gonna look into that again. The end of April, I will let everybody know for certain. I just have 3 events that I have to move around. If they are okay with it, then we'll make it happen. But we're going to get into it tonight. We got to get into it tonight. So family, buckle up. Last night, I was at the Professor William Mackey study group. Shout out to Brother Ray. always puts on the best program. And last night he invited Trust Graham. And Trust makes you look at things in its totality. And that's what I love. And he always gives you points and tidbits that you may have missed. Now, you know the story of King Leopold and what happened in the Congo, right? We all know about that. A lot of our people were enslaved, brutalized, raped, heads cut off, put on poles, and all this whole kind of stuff. Now, King Leopold, is reported that he was telling his bosses, if you will, that everything was fine. They were developing the area and things were going smoothly. And some people questioned that. And I think there was a documentary called Leopold's Ghost. And a lot of you may have seen that before. Now, you have to ask yourselves, where did they get the information from? Well, it was a brother by the name of George Washington Williams who wrote about it, actually. And he was writing, first of all, in favor of it until he went down and did his own investigation, did his own research, and saw what was going on. Now, this brother, I think he went to Howard University, if I'm not mistaken. He was born in 1849, died a young man, I believe, of tuberculosis. See, when Trust Graham give me homework, I do my homework. He died in 1891, I believe, from tuberculosis. Now, here it says George Washington Williams was born October 16, 1849 in Bedford Springs, Pennsylvania. In 1863, when blacks were permitted to join the army, Williams signed up. Now, he was a Union soldier in the Civil War. Not only was he a Union soldier, but he was a lawyer, he was a pastor, he was a journalist, a historian. Now, I don't know, Brother Ashe, if you've ever seen The Legend of Tarzan with Samuel L. Jackson. But it's a movie in case anybody want to check it out. But Samuel L. Jackson plays loosely, his character is loosely based off of George Washington Williams. And last week I told you all, sometimes when you watch these films, they will throw a tidbit out there, but it's your responsibility to investigate because they're going to give you some half truths, not whole truths. So you got to go do your own investigation, your own research. Now, this brother wrote a book, I believe it's called History of the Negro Race in America. As a matter of fact, let me share my screen here so you all can see. Here we go. Yes, History of the Negro Race in America from 1869 to 1880. Now, he wrote 2 volumes of this book. And I started to thumb through it. And it's quite interesting. I mean, this brother seems to be no joke. But you can actually get this book for free, family. I told y'all I like free.com. Free.com. You can go to googlebooks.com and you can download it, both volumes, for free. Also on scribed.com. If you follow me, K Fido, on scribed.com, I have thousands of books in my library that you all can have access to for free. Nothing better than free. But actually, this brother also was a state legislator in the state of Ohio for 1 term. He got so fed up that at one point, Ashe, he was ready to move his entire family to the country of Mexico because it was just too much for him at that time. So, and he was just ready to bounce. So he ended up catching tuberculosis on his way back from the continent, and he transitioned there. But I want to show you, let me see if I can find this here real quick. I think I lost it. But I wanted to show you an interview that Samuel L. Jackson did about the movie. But it's more in depth than that, because this brother was so bad that Hubert Harris and the like, our great scholars, who, by the way, his greatest works are in the the halls of Columbia University. As a matter of fact, Columbia Press is the one that released the works of Hubert Harris. It's just amazing to me that all of our great scholars, their greatest accomplishments are still in the hands of the oppressor. That just mind-boggling to me. But this brother was so bad, he went to Howard University as well, and I believe he got kicked out of Howard. And for good reason, because Howard University, I don't know if you know, Ashe, but that was a university for the mulatto children of the slave master, right? So Ashe could get in, but I can't get in. They literally had the paper bag to your face. So they wanted to educate their mulatto children, and that's why a lot of these HSBCUs were for that purpose. I think Brother Trust mentioned one in particular, Mary McLeod Bethune. That university was one of few that was Black financed. The rest of them were not. And if you look around, those who are falling by the wayside, you wonder why. You wonder why, and why institutions like Howard University is still standing. You still have a staff that is wishy-washy. We should be leery of them. But George Washington Williams is someone that we all should check out, do our research again. Excuse me, but you can definitely catch that book, The History of the Negro Race in America, free at googlebooks.com and scribed.com. They both have both volumes available to you for free. Now, I just want to give you some real quick points on this brother. Let me see. Yes, he was educated at Howard University, but he graduated from Massachusetts Newton Theological Institution in 1874. In 1874, he married Sarah Sterrett, and he had one son. Williams worked at various jobs for the next few years. Like I said, he was a pastor, editor, a postal worker, a state legislature. So he was a Renaissance man at that time. Now, when he started to write about King Leopold and the devastation that was going on the continent, mainstream media at that time did a smear campaign against him, calling him a savage, all these different type of names to not discredit his investigative findings, but to discredit his character. And we find that today, when you have a lot of people on the forefront, you will have mainstream media come out and discredit the character of said people and not their works, right? Here on Thorough Black Talk, we discredit the works of this system. Every week when we come on here, we discredit the works, because I don't know these people, don't want to know them, but their works are wishy-washy to me. And this brother was someone that I believe that I'm going to have fun researching even further. I can't wait. I used to, I'm a backpacker. I get my backpack and I head to these libraries, and, Brother Trust Graham talked about that last night. You can't get everything on the web. When I found out about the tidbits for Madam Stephanie Sinclair, I had to go to museums. That's number one. And number two, I had to go to the New York Historical Society. I had to buy a membership into the U.S. Historical Society so that I can get access to data. You know, people were like, Keisha, what you doing with the U.S. Historical Society? Because I get info that you can't. That's why. Somebody got to do it. You understand? Somebody got to go to these boring town halls and these meetings. Somebody got to do it because that's how you get the information. There was a New York Times article that talked about Chancellor Williams and his writings of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. And I happened to find that, online. But of course, they only give you a snippet of it. So that's why I can't wait to get back to the archives so I can see the whole damn thing. It takes time. You got to go there. I would go, at least I got the article. I could go right to the clerk and ask her what to pull for me. Because I know a lot of us who went to high school in New York, you definitely read The Raven. If you made it to the 10th grade, at least. If you ain't make it to the 10th grade, then I'm not sure. But at least when I went to school, that was required reading. And to find out that Chancellor Williams, wrote about that is phenomenal to me. It's phenomenal to me. So I can't wait to get back in the stead for that. But George Washington Williams family, please check him out. Please do some research because he is actually the father of Black history, not Black History Month, but writing about our history at that time when many were not doing it. So I would implore you to, again, look at the architects. There was Dr. John Hope Franklin. And you can find out who he is. You should know who John Hope Franklin is. But he wrote the autobiography for George Washington Williams. In fact, the John Hope Franklin Museum, they have a YouTube page, and they had a whole panel discussion about George Washington Williams. It's about an hour and a half long. But to see all of these Europeans discussing our history when we don't even discuss it, we don't feel we have the time to. And this is how people control you. When they control everything about you and you don't know about it, that's something over your head. It's something over your head that they can hold over you. And we should never allow that to be. We should always be interested in who we are and what we are in every position that we play as far as history is concerned. Before you came in, Brother Ashe, I was going through the history of a hush puppy. I posted that on social media. People been eating hush puppies for years. I always knew that, but I happened to find this meme, and I posted it. We would take that cornbread, boil it up, and throw it at the hounds to keep the scent off of us so we can escape. But we eat hush puppies. How many restaurants in the United States sell hush puppies? How many Black people are reaping the benefits of that? Something we created. Again, something minute as that. People are making millions of dollars off of this. Hush puppy mixes, hush puppy recipes. People make $1 million business off something that we created. When I hear people say, oh, I'm not with that kumbaya stuff. Well, I want you to study the history of what that means. It wasn't a meeting of the minds, if you will. That's an old Geechee saying. Shout out to the Gullah people in South Carolina, but that's the way they pronounced it. Come by here. Come by here. It has nothing to do with, oh, we're going to have a solemn moment with each other. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. But we hear people say that. We ourselves say that, and we don't know the history behind that. When our people were on the run, come by here. You don't even know that. So again, when you think of American culture is our culture. We gave it to you. From music to dance to literature. You wouldn't have an alphabet if it wasn't for the African. Let's be clear. You wouldn't know what a weapon was until the African created it first. You wouldn't know a stained glass window was until we gave it to you first. So everybody's culture that you see celebrated all across the globe, whether it's Latin culture, Asian culture, whatever, even martial arts, we gave that to you. We did that. So when you don't know your history, you don't know that people have taken something that belongs to you and made it their own. And people have the nerve to question whether we should get reparations or not. You damn right we should get reparations. You wouldn't have the number one export in this country today. It ain't steel, it ain't weapons, it ain't oil, it's culture. Black culture is exported on a daily basis, and it is a multi-billion-dollar business. From the way that we speak, or they will come at you saying you speak in Ebonics or broken English, but they use it in commercials every day, in literature every day. We are the culture of the world. It is the number one export. If you go right now to YouTube and you put in Japanese black hairstyles, watch all the new hundreds of videos of them trying to kink their hair to look like ours. Meanwhile, you have what's her name? The Gorilla Glue girl, trying to slick hers down with some damn glue. That's insane to me. That's insane to me. You see commercials every day of mixed couples, particularly black with somebody else. Life is sustainable through us. Henrietta Lack's story. Life is sustainable through us. We are the blueprint. There would not be any other ethnic group if it wasn't for us. They would not have been able to sustain themselves. We taught you how to bathe. We gave you paved roads. We taught you how to dress. Still to this day, if you go, listen, every major retail outlet has what you call a street team, if you will. You all don't know that, but I'm telling you that's what they have. To go around people who look just like you and me, everyday folks, to watch you, what you're wearing, what you're buying, what scents of colognes and perfumes you may have on. How do you wear your hair? You have now some Black-owned beauty products that are now in Target stores. How do you think Target made the decision to put those products in their store? Because they've been sending street teams out to watch you and me every day when we go and shopping. How we wear our footwear. Footwear is a multi-billion-dollar industry that would not have been able to be if it wasn't for Jan Matziger. Now, Black people don't reap the rewards from that. Other people do. That's just a fact. He made it possible to mass produce shoes. Period. The shoe lasting machine. Period. So again, family, knowing ourselves, knowing our history, knowing our culture is very, very important. So I want you all again to study George Washington Williams as I begin to study more about him that I didn't know prior. Brother Ashe, anything you want to say? Do you ever heard about George Washington Williams before?
Nah, I never heard of it
before. The whistle on Leopold.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And what struck me when you said that is because, it's rare that we do have a lot of amazing writers, African writers, but we don't have enough African-centered writers and authors, and when we do have them, it seems to be like a lot of books that get put out that are similar in content, but like it's amazing to be able to like also partake in indulge, I guess you could say, in everyday life things. Like for instance, reading something that the whole world reads, like The Raven, but then hearing that from an African-centered perspective and having an African mind with an African warrior critique and give the perspective from the way we see it, because we go and hear their perspectives. We are bombarded with their perspectives every single day. You know what I'm saying? And the problem is not enough of us know how to combat that. So some people might say, well, why is he critiquing or writing about the Raven and things like that? That's a white, they wrote that. It's for their culture and things of that nature. They teach, like Keisha said, in high schools. These are things that they forcing our children to read.
That's required reading.
So we have to be able to break down and rebuild the things that they're giving our children, or else we're going to have it regurgitated generation through generation, and we brainwashing ourselves at the same goddamn time,
Facts.
But not only that, like you could have, even if it's like something small as the news or like even a news article, you read it and you reading it with one set of eyes that might not even be for yourself and for your people. Because we've been so brainwashed to look at things and read stories and listen to articles and things of that nature from their perspective. They even know how to bring up whatever feeling they want you to feel about the article before they even put the article out. That's just like the psychology of like the politicians wearing certain colors, wearing red, wearing blue, and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to bring up a feeling inside of you. So the way they write these things does the same exact thing. So damn right, we need some African-centered authors and scholars and things of that nature to break down the things that they feed in us and flip it back on so we can look at it and be like, yeah, because they try to pull a wool over our eyes every single day, family. So it's really up to us to really put an effort into breaking down some of these things that they give to us. And, like it goes also back to that leisure. Like I said, a lot of people like to read, they get pleasure out of reading and things of that nature. It's not just books about like, warriorhood and things of that nature where you get wisdom from. Like a lot of, even the great elders and the Bibles will tell you, study your enemy. You got to read the books that they write at the same time that you read in the books that we write. And a lot of even Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, they tell you there is actual history in the books that some of these white historians write. There is history in that.
Absolutely.
You just got to do it and like pick the good stuff from the lies that they telling.
Absolutely. I mean, you can get information from everywhere. I don't turn down information from nowhere. As a matter of fact, the uncle of Lorraine Hansberry, William Leo Hansberry, he wanted a degree in Egyptology. And he was told that there was a white professor. I can't remember his name right now, but he had to go to that white professor to get his doctorate. So he had to go. You understand? And, he ended up challenging this professor on some things that he said about Egypt and saying the Egyptians were white and so on and so forth. So he didn't end up getting that degree there. But everybody teaches. A historian is going to teach you about history. A historian is going to teach you about history. I learned about, what's his name? Edward Hutchins, who was the first Black man, the only man to try a criminal case in the Supreme Court. And that court case led to, what's that case? A USV ship that's now on the books today. Mr. Hutchins was the first person to try a criminal case in the Supreme Court. That was unheard of. It's still unheard of today. You go to lower courts for that, not the U.S. Supreme Court, for that. So, history comes in all forms. Never listen, you get information. Don't just say because it's Black, it's what is right too, because Black writers and authors get a lot of things wrong as well. Yep. You got to check that out. You got to check it out. That's why research is very important. You never just leave that out there. As a matter of fact, when I posted about the hush puppy food, I also posted a clip from a link for the Encyclopedia Britannica. They have the information in there because that's where the hell I got it from. You understand? So people listen, don't just think because it's Black is right, or if it's white, written by a white author, is wrong. That's not true. You know, it's your responsibility to take that information and use that information as a blueprint or a guide for you to seek your truth. Period.
That's right. That's right. Especially
It's just evidence. Now, evidence, as Brother Trust always says, evidence don't make it fact. You know what I'm saying? Evidence, like he did a great example last night. If you have a crime scene and there's a car accident, the first thing the police going to do is going to look at the car, look at the street, see if there was some skin marks and all this old kind of stuff to see if there was an accident. Then he going to go to the people who was outside. Did you see this? Did you see that? And then they going to come up with what really happened or what their investigation led them to believe that happened. You know, any great lawyer will tell you truth has no bearing in a courtroom. Only what you can prove. Only what you can prove. It's your responsibility to gather that evidence, do your own research, and make it your fact based on what it is you want it to be. Period. That's why it's important that we tell our own stories. Right now, you have state and federal legislatures who want to form a commission to deal with the rise of attacks or hate crimes against Asians. All well and good, but these same political talking heads, if you will, where is the commission on Asians attacking Black people? But it's our responsibility to tell that story. We can't leave it in the hands of everybody else. We can't do that. So investigation and research is key. It is key, and you get information from all sorts. As a matter of fact, there is a Chinatown in just about every major city in the United States, at least on the East and the West Coast there is. When the Asian community wanted to form some sort of sense of home, community, political power, they took their blueprint from us. They got their blueprint from us. And later on, I'm going to show you a book that you can read about how they will tell you that they followed the Black Power movement to get what they needed to get. They studied, did the work, got it done. No compromising, none. Even in their gang element, mainstream media news, when you watch the news at night, if there's a crime that is committed and somebody looks like us, we lead in the news story. You see Bloods and Crips and Folklores and everybody else. When there's a raid, they get dragged out of their apartments, dragged out of their homes. But one of the most ruthless crime organizations in the world, not just the United States, in the world, is the Yakuza. You ain't never seen no Japanese being dragged through the street, no perp walks, none of that. The Russian mob is serious business. Listen, you think I'm playing? Who you think got Coney Island on lock? It's the Russian mob. I went to school with a lot of their kids in Marine Park. This is a fact. But you don't see them on a perp walk, having gangs of them drawn out of their house. They'll do it to the Italians. They don't care. Right? They'll do it to us any day of the week. But anybody else? Come on. Come on. One of the most powerful. I'm telling you, look up the Yakuza if you think I'm playing. What's this new they funnel their money through entertainment, through sports, and politics. And I'll show you a link, or I'll drop a link in the chat later where you all can watch it for yourselves. That'll give you a little bit of insight on who the Yakuza are. But you don't see no perp walk. In the 1970s, Brother Ashe, there was a woman, a gangster, Chinese, came through New York and illegally smuggled over 200,000 Chinese into the city of New York. who resided in Chinatown and Dyker Heights for a while, Sunset Park for a while. Now, when you see these INS raids, I don't see them being dragged out. They've been here for 30, 40, 50 years, and they still here, but you don't see them getting gathered up. Why? It's because, like we said last week, the street and the consciousness were always cohesive. Ho Chi Minh, okay? My brothers and sisters who fought in the Vietnam War. Ho Chi Minh, he came where? To New York to study and sit at the feet of Garvey. And he learned, took it back home, and put it in practice. We're still here trying to figure stuff out. It's because our relationships are soured. Again, a lot of people get addicted to personalities. And if that personality ain't in the rulership, I don't want nothing to do with it. That's some Sambo stuff to me. So we're going to show a little clip, speaking of Sambo, because this narrative that, you know, this person's an Uncle Tom, that person's an Uncle Tom, when you don't even know what the hell Uncle Tom is. You know, we know who he is on this platform, but a lot of you who are watching don't. You know, when you should be calling these people Sambos and not Uncle Toms, just to be frank. So we're going to give you a little history on who Josiah Henson is. Okay? Stay tuned.
Josiah Henson, aka Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom was born June 15, 1789 in Charles County, Maryland. He was separated from his parents when he was a kid after his father got disciplined for standing up to a slave owner. His father received 100 lashes and got his right ear cut off. One day, at the age of 9, Josiah was caught reading a grammar book by a slave master, Mr. Riley. Mr. Riley beat him so bad, his eyes were swollen and he became unconscious. As he grew older, he became the overseer of the plantation. Josiah was able to work and stack up some money so he can purchase his freedom. But Mr. Riley cheated him out of his money. So after that, he escaped to Canada. And that's where he gave his story. In 1852, author Harriet Beecher Stowe released a powerful fictional book called Uncle Tom's Cabin. Fictional, but it was also based on Josiah's life. This book was so powerful that if you were caught reading it, selling it, or buying it, you would be arrested. Not only could you be arrested, but you could also be sentenced to death. Inside of the book Uncle Tom's Cabin, you will learn about two characters. One, Uncle Tom, and the other, Sambo. Uncle Tom was a good dude. He never snitched. He never beat anybody. And he was the guy, if your sack was empty or your sack was low, he would take cotton out of his sack and put it into yours, just so you wouldn't get beat. Because he was so looked up to, he was so loved, and he was the man holding everything down, they had to put another slave in charge of him, and that slave was Sambo. Sambo's orders was to beat Uncle Tom every night, all the way up until his death. Uncle Tom was beat to death in the fictional book for not giving up the whereabouts of two women slaves that escaped. So let's change that narrative on Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom was a good dude. Sambo is what we should be calling people, not Uncle Tom. You should be proud to be called an Uncle Tom. That name came from the white slave owners who viewed him as a traitor.
Wow. Yeah, that's history right there, man. Wow. Wow.
Remember a while ago we was talking about great ones in history, and I brought up from the book 117 Facts That You Should Know About the Civil War. Remember, Harriet Beecher Stowe's son her brother, if you see right here, Henry Ward Beecher, fought with Toussaint Louverture's son, Martin Delaney's son, Robert Vesey's son. Right? So I hope we all look at that story of Uncle Tom again. And remember, those who are betraying you are really Sambos. And you should hold them accountable. You know, they are Sambos. Now, I wouldn't call myself Uncle Tom. That's up to you. But just get the history and the information correct. You know, we're always learning, always researching. So we don't propose to have all of the answers. However, I can tell you that we've been using the wrong narrative. As a matter of fact, I believe Dr. Claude Anderson in his book, Little Things in History That You Didn't Know, I believe, you could definitely find out that information in there as well. So again, family, do your research. Don't be afraid to study and say, I don't know everything. I don't. That's why I'm always reading. I'm a bookworm for real. I'll be up 3 o'clock in the morning reading books. That's just me. Not saying you got to do that, but that's just me. Because I always want to get to the bottom of things, right? And now we've been pushing this narrative, giving people a name who have betrayed us, the name of Uncle Tom, when they should be calling Sambos. So from now on, that's what you call these people who betray you, Sambos. That's exactly what they are. And they will be on your back just like Sambo was put in charge to beat Uncle Tom every night until he died. Or until he escaped and went to Canada and helped with the militia and the rebellion in Canada. So, did you know about Uncle Tom, brother Ashe?
Deep, I definitely want to read some more about that. And, you know, it's a shame that you can't get your hands on some of these books, you know, these very racist books that these people put out against our people. You know, these books are really rare if you can find them at all. But I don't understand why they're trying to cover up their history. You should be all of that. Like, it's just like the statues, like Keisha said, like, you know, people want to see who these devils really are, who they are. Don't whitewash it or water it down and try to cover it up. You know, why can't we find where this book is so our people could see just how devilish these people were and writing these books about us and changing the narrative? And that's something that we spoke about last week on the show as well. You know, we were talking about how these people, our oppressors, will come in and rewrite history to reflect something that makes them look good, when in all reality, it was a total different story. And that's exactly what happened, you know, with Uncle Tom, with this story.
Yep.
You know, literally put out propaganda, negative propaganda against our people. And what happens is time passes and generations pass. And now the only thing they know about it is something that's negative, when really it started in a positive thing for us, you know? So that's why it's real important, man. That's why we do what we do up here and have our own media platform to get this message out there. We got to have more authors like Amos Wilson. You know, we got to have so many more people picking up so many different levels of this battle, you know, because if we don't do it for ourselves, like Keisha just said, who knows where we're going to be at? You know what I'm saying? They're going to be writing a book about Ashe and Keisha, saying that's a negative thing. Damn, they done turned me into something totally different now. Okay.
Don't be surprised, brother. Don't be surprised. Don't be long ago. They're going to say, yeah, them two Sambos over there. But of course, you know, it ain't never what it's going to be, because that's not how we roll.
They were sharing, I saw recently too, they was talking about the meaning of cakewalk as well. A lot of people don't know. People always say, especially people from down south, they use that term cakewalk when they say something is easy or it's going to be cakewalk. But we don't remember that that term is also stemmed in a racist, beginning from slavery and things of that nature. When black people, they said cakewalk, what that really means was black people were doing like a performance, and it had to be like a dance. Black people had to do a dance in a line, and at the end of the line, at the end of them doing the dance, their reward was cake. So it turned out to be called cakewalk. But really, they were making a mockery of our people, making it seem like, oh, look at this black person in a suit. Look at this black woman in a dress. She really thinks she's civilized. Look, just like they do with animals and put monkeys and dogs and things of that nature in real people, human clothes. That's what they thought of our people. So when they put black people in suits and women in dresses and things of that nature and seemed like black people were civilized, they were making them, it was like an experiment to them. So now they got us walking in a line. You know what I'm saying? You can look it up if you don't believe me. Just type in cakewalk or cakewalk meaning and hit images or something. There's a very famous caricature of all people walking in a line trying to get that cake. You know what I'm saying? It stems back from the times of the minstrel shows. So these are things, like you said, Keisha, it's a lot of sayings, a lot of things we got to put to rest for real, man, because we don't even know the things that we saying. And what you shared earlier about kumbaya, I didn't know that one either. And that's real deep, and it's crazy because, like, even if you think about it, they say the song is Kumbaya, my Lord. So they saying, come here, my Lord. So now I think about it, I'm like, wow, that just...
Yep, come by here. That's right.
Because, like, and that's where it stems from. So now we saying Lord, and, they talking about Jesus. So no disrespect to our Christian family, but, they were brainwashed and that was put in their minds to especially when it's times when they going through stuff. The only thing they know to do is to call Lord.
That's right.
Come by here, Lord.
That's right.
Knowing that they could self-govern themselves and be their own masters and things of that nature and their own gods and goddesses and free themselves from their oppressors and all of their, the things that was happening, all of their hardships. So now instead of that, they got to say, come by here, come by Yah, Lord. Come by Yah, Lord, my Lord. Somebody crying, come by Yah. That's how the song go, right? So,
yep.
It's deep, man. And if we really, like, if we were studying history.
I learned that by going to the Gullah Festival. Going to the Gullah Festival in South Carolina. There was a point where one time we went down there and they invited us into the village, and a lot of us had a reading. And they did a performance for us when we got there. And that's when I found out what that saying actually means. So you just never know, but it's just great to find that information out. And now, brother Ashe, because remember last week we was talking about people and their behaviors. I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. But when I leave my home, I am very conscious that I represent all of you, not just myself and my family, but I represent all of you. Now, I've been seeing on social media, I don't know about you, brother Ashe, but all of these sisters in lingerie photos all over social media. And that added with these busted challenges or whatever the hell they call. Excuse me, every time I see it, I think about Sarah Bartman. Every time I see it. It's just like her image just flashed before us. And I wonder if these young women and older women who've been posing in lingerie all over social media, do you know the history of Sharjah Bartman? That you remind me of being put on an auction block. There's a docu-film that you all could go to YouTube and watch it on YouTube. It's called Goodbye, Uncle Tom. And that is a docu-film, and they will show you how they display Black women and Black girls for ritual sex, for prostitution sex, for medical research. And there's a picture of in that film where a physician, if you will, has a black female on a table and she's on all fours. And he's telling her to go up and down. And he has some people in the room with him, and he's talking about how, you know, how flexible she is. And it just takes me back to that. And we are taking ourselves back to plantation life without even knowing it. Without even knowing it, family. I mean, family, the next time you see on social media, hold on, I think I pulled it up a minute ago. Hold on social media, just think about Sgt. Bartman. How they put this woman on display for all the world to see. I mean, just this is horrible. This is horrible. And why do you want to show yourself in lingerie? You're not a model. You know, it's not your job. I'm not talking to people who do this for a living. It's not your job. But you on social media doing busset challenges when we had to deal with stuff like this. We had to deal with stuff like this. And you on naked on social media for all the world to see? How dare you deface our ancestors? How dare you deface them? Now, if somebody put you in chains on a plantation, then you would say it's wrong, but you putting it out there. You putting this out there. I'm just saying, we just have to do better. We have to do better.
Yeah.
Call me a prude if you want, but we just have to do better, brother. I'll share your thoughts.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's interesting because the time that we living in, like, you know, everybody's conscious and they're talking about, like, not conscious like us, but, you know, they're not centered, but like everybody's trying to get conscious on certain things, and they talk about shaming this, like they say got a term called slut shaming and all of these shamings and things, and they canceling things, and then they talking about like how everything is objectified and things of that nature. Well, if you look at Sarkey or Sarah Bartman, she was the first person that was objectified, you know, on a grand scale level. Like they wasn't even treating her like a human. They was just looking at the shape of her backside as if it was just an object that was detached from the human or from the spirit, from the person. You know, they put her on display, objectifying her, you know. So don't talk about no objectifying nothing unless you know the history of like what our people done been through. You know, and that also what you brought up, Sister Keisha, it reminds me of another thing that's happening in current events with this whole Tiger Woods thing. You know, for real, for one, I haven't even been keeping up with the story, you know, but the one thing that I did hear, and I tuned in a little bit, I think it was like ESPN or something like that. I don't know what it was, but it had these white men talking about Tiger Woods, right? And they were saying the whole conversation about Tiger Woods was about his career. And they were talking about if he was going to be able to reach the level of the records and the goals that he was set to obtain, because he was going to be like the number one, breaking all of the records in golf. And right now, I think this one person, some white man from a long time ago, that has maybe one or two records that Tiger Woods was actually gaining close to breaking those records. And Tiger would have been the all-time on all categories when it comes to golf. He would have broke all of the records. So now they talking about, oh, is Tiger Woods going to be able to fulfill his legacy of this and that and that? And it just made me think like, damn, like this dude, this black man, you know, for lack of a better word, you know, because I don't know how black he is. He might not want to be, but he black, at least to them. But this guy literally is one of the best golfers ever. And he came very close to losing his life. And the only goddamn thing you hear ESPN and all of them talking about is his career and his sport and stuff like that. Ain't nobody concerned for his life. Ain't nobody like, man, I hope he pulls through. I hope he can walk again. I hope he stays healthy. I hope he lives. You don't hear that conversation. You hear the conversation of, is he going to break this record? Is he going to be able to come back? Is he going to be able to make a comeback? That's what they're talking about. So males are objectified as well. Black men, not just black women, but black men are objectified as well. How fast can he dribble? You know, how high can he jump? Can he swing a golf club? Things of that nature, like totally detached from the person, but just talking about your skills and the things that you have. Treating you as an object or a machine to just go out there and function as if you don't have feelings and, you know, emotions like a real spirit, like a human. You know, so these are what these devils do, man. And I'm not surprised at all, but it's just crazy to sit back and think like, damn, this is the world we live in. You know why? Because I wonder, Keisha, if it was a famous white golfer that was near death, had a near-death experience, would they be talking the same way? Would they be sitting here talking about his career? Or would they be showing you images of his family and his little children crying every 2 seconds, showing you pictures of their faces, humanizing that person, talking about all of the achievements and the people around them and all of the things? Like, it's a totally different narrative that you get when the people don't look like us. But when they look like us, they just want you to get back on the court, get back on the golf field, and win that record and make these devils behind the scenes some more money. You know, it's crazy, man. So like when we talked about objectifying, y'all, all people, especially slaves, and if you talk about buck breaking or if you talk about like being a stud, oh, that was the ultimate form of objectifying. You know what I'm saying? Because they literally they didn't see nothing on you but the size of your penis, or if you could like produce more children so that they could be birthed into slavery. So that's all they cared about. You were literally an object, black man. So brothers and sisters, man, we were totally objectified. So nowadays when you hear all of this nonsense online and they talk about this and that, let's keep it focused, man. We know we're the first objects. They treated us like objects and not even like, you know, like human beings, man. They treated us like it was a commodity and it was something that was just put on here so they could like benefit and take advantage of us, man. So, you know, let's put it back in a proper perspective, family, historically. And this is why we got to study history, man.
Definitely got to do better. Definitely got to do better, because it's just disturbing to me. It's like if I'm on Instagram, if I'm on Twitter, it don't matter. I'm like, all I see is, you know, females taking selfies in lingerie and doing goddamn dumbass challenges. Like, you are literally behaving like porch monkeys. Look up that term, what a porch monkey is, and ask yourself, am I being that? You know, we have to show more respect to who we are. No other culture does that. Not in mass, the way that we do it. And we always made the butt of somebody else's joke. It has to be better than that. So, you know, family, just as we close this Black History Month, you know, Black History is 24/7. Next month is Women History, Black Women History Month. And we're going to have some heavy hitters come in, because we just got to do better, family. We have to do better. And if you look at it, Brother Ashe, it's like literally they taking us back to plantation where everybody wide awoke watching it happen. But we're going to get off of that for a second. I wanted to show our family last week, because we was talking about those who were supporters of the movement. And again, family, you can't have the street without consciousness and consciousness without the street. Both are cohesive. Both is how it works. In every ethnic groups, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but everyone understands this element. We are the only ones who don't understand this element. And it's for a reason, because when we were in control, we controlled everything around us. That's why they had to come in and destroy it. That's why they had to set Rosewood on fire and Raleigh on fire and Atlanta on fire, Weeksville on fire. They had to do that because we were so cohesive. You couldn't come in the hood and act crazy. And so what has happened is, as far as the argument for reparations, I watched the congressional hearings or committee hearing last week. Shout out to Dr. Filet. We watched it together. And there was some shenanigans that went on. You know, you had Larry Elder talking about black people don't need nothing. And how the hell you have a commission on reparations or a committee hearing on reparations, something as serious as that, and Herschel Walker is your witness? The football player? The noodle head? Are you crazy? It's always an entertainer or a pastor. I mean, this is insane to me. You couldn't find Dr. Claude Anderson?
Yep.
He all over social media. What do you mean you couldn't find even Dr. Doherty? And I ain't too clean about him, but you could have found somebody other than the people who testified at this committee hearing, Brother Ashe. And powerful families don't operate like that. We have to look at ourselves as a family, period. Yeah, you have different sects of the family. You got your in-laws and cousins and everything else. But when it comes to something as serious as this, we have to be cohesive. Now, I heard during the hearing that it took 34 years to get to this point. Really? 34 years to have a damn hearing? Are you kidding me? That's an embarrassment, Sheila Jackson Lee. You shouldn't even say nothing like that. I know George Washington Williams is rolling over his grave right now. This is insane. But I want to show you all, family, just to digress for a minute, who the powerful families are in the United States right now. So when you're time to go at folks, these are the people you should be going at. Don't worry about Target and Starbucks and anything else. Listen, these are the families you need to be dealing with as far as reparations is concerned, because they have built an empire off of black suffering. Even the Kardashians now, they about to rake in some of Kanye dough. You know, turning it back over to the slave master. He is the one that said slavery is a choice. Did he not?
Yep.
I remember he said that. So now you're giving your money back over to the overseer, Kanye, with your crazy self. But I want to show you, they keep it amongst themselves. So we're going to look at this clip real quick, family, and we're going to come back and discuss it really quick before we close out, because it's a segue for what we're going to be doing next week. Hopefully the guests will confirm sometime this weekend that she will be able to be with us, and I guarantee you, you are not going to be disappointed. But I want you to see these families secretly rule the world. Okay? Hold on.
Money, power, and fame have more influence than you think. And it gets a lot more influential when it's not just one or two people, it's a whole family. Hey, when you've got a lot of sway in the goings-on of, well, everything. That's why today we are looking at the most powerful families in the world. Some are superstars, some gained incredible wealth very quickly, and some inherited their massive fortunes. So basically, they were born billionaires. Here's a peek into the families that are secretly ruling the world, whether you want them to or not. First on our list is the Koch family, not to be confused with Coke as in Coca-Cola, although certainly Coca-Cola has a lot of sway too. I mean, all they have to do is threaten to halt production on everyone's favorite caffeinated beverage, and caffeine junkies would riot. But we kid. We're talking about Koch as in the Koch brothers, and their massive business, Koch Industries. To give you an idea of just how massive we're talking, Koch Industries is the second largest privately owned company in the United States. They rake in a colossal $110 billion every year in revenue. Yeah, this is the big leagues, people. Koch Industries was founded by Fred Koch in 1940, and for years, it was owned by his two sons, David and Charles, known as the Koch brothers. David, who passed away last year at 79 years old, stepped down from his position due to health issues in 2018. But his brother Charles, he forms as the CEO to this day. Just what kind of influence does the Koch family have? Well, due to some rather smart acquisitions, including the $22.5 billion purchase of Georgia Pacific in 2005, every time you buy your everyday supplies, you may well be putting money right into the pockets of the Kochs. Brawny paper towels, Quilted Northern, Dixie cups. These are all just some of the brands underneath the Koch umbrella. But it doesn't stop there. In 2012, they spent $7.5 billion to purchase Molex, an electronic components manufacturer. And in 2014, they partnered with Goldman Sachs to purchase a printing ink manufacturer known as Flint Group for a price tag of $3 billion. The Kochs are well known for donating hundreds of millions of dollars in support of conservative politicians, ones that limit government, offer free trade and free markets, limit corporate regulations, and offer a more lenient immigration policy. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. These guys are literally pulling the strings that guide the United States because they have the money to. Next up, let's talk about one of the most famous billionaires, J.P. Morgan. He was one of the most powerful bankers of his time, up until his death in 1913. But being rich ain't enough to get you on this list. And J.P. Morgan was so much more than just rich. Mr. Morgan financed railroads and helped organize U.S. Steel, General Electric, and many more giants in the industry. His father was a wealthy banker as well, but it wasn't until Morgan formed a partnership with Philadelphia banker Anthony Drexel in 1871 and formed J.P. Morgan & Company that he started to get really, really rich. After all, this company was the predecessor to J.P. Morgan Chase. He amassed an incredible fortune of $25 billion, and he was sure to use it to tilt the system in his favor. Morgan was a mastermind of the business world and used his incredible influence to help stabilize the American financial markets during the economic scares of his day. Probably his most famous achievement was his ability to stabilize the economy during the Panic of 1907. And let's not forget the time that he saved America's gold standard by loaning the federal government $60 million. But it's well documented that Morgan's critics were quick to point out just how much power he had, and they would say that he was manipulating the United States' financial system so that it benefited himself. Hey, in all honesty, they were probably right. Remember how we said he financed railroads? Well, he did that so often and so well that during the late 19th century, Morgan was so involved with consolidating failing railroads that he ended up controlling an estimated 1/6 of the total railroads in America. Yeah, one guy owned 1/6 of all the railroads. On top of that, he was called in to testify by the U.S. Representative Arsene Pujo, who was investigating elite Wall Streeters suspected of colluding to control the American banking industry. The result of these hearings was a little system you may have heard of, called the Federal Reserve. If you still don't think that Morgan had power, well then we don't even know what power is anymore. Here's a family you may be familiar with, due to multiple members being United States presidents. One a vice president, another a TV host, and yet another being a Supreme Court justice. This is the Bush family, the very same family of former President George W. Bush, the inspiration behind the punk rock opera masterpiece by Green Day, American Idiot. Okay, but seriously, this family has a lot of power, which, for starters, is likely due to their net worth of over $400 million. Just how did they collect that much dough? Well, many members of their family were successful bankers and businessmen, which spans back 3 generations. And if you need any more proof that their power runs in the family, and runs deep, remember that George H. Bush was a United States president, George W. Bush was a United States president, and Billy Bush was the host of Access Hollywood. Don't remember Billy? We bet you do, you just forgot. After all, the infamous tapes of a secret lewd conversation between Donald Trump and Billy Bush made all the headlines in 2016, and it ended up leading to Billy Bush being fired from Access Hollywood. But don't feel too bad. He now works as a correspondent on the show Extra. Oh, and he's also worth $13 million. Yeah, he's doing fine. Up next is the Rothschild family, worth a total of $400 billion. Let that sink in for just a second. Their total worth is $400 billion. All we can say is, wow. They amassed this incredible fortune by creating a banking empire in the 1800s. Hey, are you starting to see a pattern here with all these banking families? Now maybe you know what line of work you should aspire to go into. This empire spanned through cities like London, Paris, Vienna, and Naples. They are one of the wealthiest and most powerful families in history. Although we should say their sway is far less than what it was in years past, mainly due to their incredible wealth being divided up between the family members. These days, the Rothschild family is still very active in the mining, financial services, agriculture, winemaking, and real estate world. In Europe, some of their incredible palaces and lavish estates still stand to this day, almost like a permanent benchmark to their outrageous fortune. To put $400 billion in perspective, when adjusted for inflation, their private wealth still hasn't been topped by anyone in the world. In fact, if you combined the wealth of Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, you still wouldn't come close to the Rothschild family. They are about as wealthy as anyone can get. Let's head over to our local Walmart for our next power fam. Didn't expect us to say that? Well, maybe you didn't realize just how rich the founders, the Walton family, are, with a net worth of an astounding $169.7 billion. Sam and Bud Walton founded Walmart in 1962, and when they found that Walmart was a resounding success, they went ahead and formed Sam's Club in 1983. These days, Walmart's sales top out at $500 billion. That's the highest retail revenue in the world, folks. As for how much power they have, get this. They have political draw on both parties, due to the older members of the family like Jim Walton being stark Republicans. After all, he gave $630,000 to Republicans or Republican affiliates in the 2008 election. And on the flip side, the younger Gen X and millennial members of the Walton family, like Christy Walton, seem to have power in the opposite direction of her elders, due to Christy forming the Lincoln Project, an anti-Trump Republican group. Let's close out our list of families today with one of the most famous fams out there. We are talking, of course, about the Kardashians, who have risen to one of the most powerful, famous, and wealthy families on the globe. Kim Kardashian is credited for taking her TV reality series and turning it into a global empire. She is now the star of multiple mobile games, owns her own brand of cosmetics, and most recently has launched her own shapewear business. And it's these beauty products that have catapulted her wealth up and up and up. Her cosmetics company, KKW Beauty, a company worth $1 billion, generated $100 million in revenue in 2019. It seems this family can't be stopped. Kim married superstar Kanye West, worth $1.3 billion himself. And don't forget that her younger half-sister Kylie is worth $1 billion. And her sister Khloe, she's worth an estimated $40 million. And look, you see where we're going with this. They're wealthy and live like it. Kim's monthly beauty expenses come to an average of $168,880. And she and her hubby Kanye recently purchased a $16 million ranch in Cody, Wyoming. Kanye even made sure to introduce himself to the mayor when they moved in. Well, there you have it. A look into the families that, by all accounts, are modern-day royalty. These families have the funds to make their ideals a
Yeah. That's interesting.
When they talk to you about reparations and they say they don't know where the funds are coming from, these families built their empires off of the back of slavery. J.P. Morgan, a banking institutional empire globally, made his money off the backs of enslaved Africans. You have the Walton family, made their bread off the backs of enslaved Africans. You see the cohesiveness when they talked about in this piece how they put their money in both political parties. Why do you think Kim Kardashian could pick up a phone and call a president at that time Trump and with a whisper in his ear, have a black woman removed out of jail, out of prison. You watch the whole trial of Brett Kavanaugh, Supreme Court Justice trial. Did not know that he was a Bush. Put their money on both sides. They don't be out here going at each other. Now you show me where the black families are that don't have no ties to the European that have this type of wealth. Every black person who is in the billions today have their finances, and yes, that includes Jay-Z, tied to Europeans. I didn't see nothing with the Rothschilds having their money tied to us. When you talk about reparations, that's what made me mad when I went to that panel discussion and the cat from December 12th movement, yes, I said it, said that we don't deserve financial payments. Are you sick? Are you sick? So as we close out this Black History Month, family, understand that these people stole us and they owe us. And I want everything that belongs to me and mine. I want retribution for my enslaved ancestors. I don't know about December 12th movement, but they nonsense they was talking on that panel discussion. Talk about we don't need no cash payments. You tell these powerful families that I just showed you that they don't need their cash. And see what the hell. Matter of fact, Baba Harold, who's watching, he will tell you that the Rothschilds made it plain. We don't care who runs the laws as long as we control the money. We care not who breaks the laws. Long as we control the finances. You saw in the piece, J.P. Morgan bailed out the Federal Reserve. You want to ride the trains? Guess what? You still giving money to J.P. Morgan. When you say, I don't want to go to Walmart, or I'll go to Sam's Club, you still giving it to these powerful families.
Yep.
Oh, I don't like Charmin, I like Scott. You still giving it to these powerful families. They are cohesive. We better get on that page, Brother Ashe. What you think about the piece we just saw before we close out?
Yeah, they all connected, man. And they all work together too. Don't get it twisted. That's another thing. They families are powerful, and then they work together. They are in unison. This is what you talk about. People say the Illuminati, or you got the NWO. They all got an agenda, and they all work together to make sure that their money keeps circulating, and to make sure that the money, like, poor people are poor for a reason. You didn't just wake up and was born and you just poor. And your family before that, your parents were poor. Generations, of our people were going through struggles financially. That's for a reason. Because remember, we weren't always like that. We were made, at least here in America, we were made like that. And then our minds were shaped to think that we ain't gonna be nothing but that. You know what I'm saying? But it's all an agenda, and it's all for the same. And we keep falling into it, family. So we need to look at these people and see some of the things that they do and see how we can do it better, family. This is the importance. When they showed in the clip and they showed the family, when they showed the Rothschilds, or when they showed the Bush family and all of the different members, and they showed one clip, it had the picture of all of the family members in the same picture. And you could just envision them going and, having family reunions and, parties and things of that nature. Family members that you ain't see for a long time. They all come together in a room, and everybody's happy because you know why? They're all taken care of. They all powerful in their own right. They all wealthy. And then when they come together for their family reunion, it's a whole reunion of goddamn devils that don't have nothing on their mind but keeping this same thing circulating. This level of oppression that's dealing with us, and this level of gluttony, or whatever you want to call it, that these people are dealing with. So when Sister Keisha said what she said, reparations, and they don't know where it's going to come from, they got plenty. They have plenty to give us. So I don't know why anybody would say, if you said, they said, we don't want no cash payments. That's crazy.
I'm telling you, brother.
Speak for yourself.
We don't need no cash payments.
Last week I said, I don't even understand how the hell they could have a damn stimulus package for Americans and be entertaining another stimulus check coming up that's even going to be more money. How the hell America could get a goddamn reparation, but black people can't get a goddamn reparation? Because that's all a stimulus check is. I hope you don't think they're giving you a stimulus check to stimulate you. You think they trying to stimulate you to get you from being poor into a wealthy status, or your family? They not doing that. It's called a stimulus check to stimulate the economy.
Facts.
Stimulate their bank account.
Facts.
They give you money to give to come right back to their asses. So a stimulus check is reparations for America. America is getting their reparations over and over, twice, maybe coming up again, before black people get their reparations.
And who's the number one consumer? Who are they getting their money back from?
Yep. Exactly.
Come on, family. This is all connected. So you can't listen. Black history is 24/7. Connect the dots of what's going on around you. It is still happening to this very day. In the piece, you saw the older Waltons give their money to Republicans. The younger Waltons, they give their monies to the Democrats. But y'all was out here posting threats to people if they don't vote for Biden. I mean, it's crazy. I want my bread. Brother P said it best. I want my bread. Give me mine. Brother Ashe live in Bed-Stuy. As a matter of fact, he lived on the same block that Henry Highland Garnett lived on. How the hell he gonna say he don't want no damn reparations? Crazy? Bed-Stuy was, listen, it wasn't given, it was purchased by a black man.
Yeah.
How the hell you gonna say you don't want no cash payments? You sound crazy. Wiggsville was right here in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Gone. How the hell you say you don't want no cash payments? None of these people, these families that I just showed, say, well, we don't want no cash payments. We don't want no cash. Give us our bread. Crown Heights used to be called Crow Heights as a derogatory statement or profane to black people who had wealth in that area. That's gone. Cut our checks. Go ahead, brother.
They say they don't want no cash payments. I'm curious to know what the hell they want. Because if you don't want cash payments, then what is it? Are you saying you want reparations in the form of white savior to come and
he said
children, or you want a white savior to come teach you about God as your reparation if you don't want cash? Or what is it? You want a white person to come and give you something other than monetary funds and things of that nature to get you back on track so you can put yourself back on track? What is it? If it's not cash or gold or something like that, then how, like, it seems like you looking for a handout from somebody else to come and take care of you morally, spiritually, all of these other different directions. So if you're not asking for cash or some kind of, monetary payment, it seems like you don't want to do the work to healing yourself. It seems like you still asking Massa to do something for you. And honestly, with Ashe, I don't think we ever going to get reparations. I think we're going to have to create our own reparations. And if you're talking about funds, they don't even have enough to repay us when it comes to a dollar amount. The whole nation would literally have to give us every single thing that they have and leave the country. And they would still owe us.
You said that.
They would still
owe us. Why do you think they have these programs, these billionaires, trying to build these hotels on Mars?
Yep.
Listen, next week I'm going to show you all a film of these new cyber houses. Elon Musk just bought one. I think it cost $860-something thousand. These cyber houses. What is it for? What is it for? Because they know what's coming. Whether we believe it or not, you don't have to. Keisha stands firm on her square. Ashe stands firm on his square. We already let y'all know what time it is. I'm telling you, there were some things in the work. And all you criminals out there, before we close out, you got to be smart. Don't be a damn fool. Beating people over the head, sisters and old ladies over the head, snatching chains off of young children. There's cameras everywhere. The United States spend every year $80 billion on surveillance. Part of that is through social media. So keep on typing with your fingers and your challenges and all that. We're going to deal with that next week as well. Brother Ashe, we're going to close out your final thoughts.
Damn, man, yeah, because I'm going to have to close because you just made me want to talk about something else. We definitely got to talk about that next week, man. You know, because all these damn cameras, we putting them up ourselves now. We capturing ourselves. But anyway, we're going to get into that next week, family. But listen, yo, I'm excited to rewatch this episode. Keisha, you got to send me that link. Them links, them videos was crazy, man. Like, if we got to break those things down, like we spoke about, you know, so many people that really, like, studied from an African perspective and tell us stories from our position. You know, this is what's necessary. It's mandatory for us, family. We have to stay centered in every single thing that we do. This is the only way we're going to get out of this rut that we in. And, you know, Keisha came with some great information. You know, I learned a lot tonight. Like my brother Tad say, I hope you were inspired. Now you got to inspire somebody else. Shout out to our brother Tad. And, you know, let's just share this information, family, and make sure that we are taking it throughout the rest of our week, into the beginning of next week, into next month. You know, they say Black History Month is about to be over. Like, remember, family, we are history. We walk in history. You know, so every single thing we do, we're going to be judged at the end of the day. Keisha tell you that. We're going to be judged on it. You know what I'm saying? Ancestors is waiting. They ain't put in that work for nothing, for it to go to waste. So let's make sure that we are continuing to walk with our left foot forward, family. Remember, true courage is knowing how to suffer. This is your brother Ashe SJ signing out. Sister Keisha.
Again, family, we thank you all every week for tuning in. Share this platform, share this program on your social media pages. And we got more coming for you as we continue to do. You know, I live in the East, and I literally live on the street where enslaved Africans are buried right under my house. So I'm telling you, I want what's mine. I want what's mine. I don't care what they talking about. Don't tell me they ain't got it, because they got the bread. We have to take it from them. And if we're not going to take it from them, we have to finesse it from them. And the way that these people were talking on that committee, I almost vomit twice. So, you know, our history is continuous. We continue. Shout out to the young brother who is doing great work with food preservation. Young 15-year-old brother who's a brilliant scientist in my view. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. I love it. I love it. I love it. His father actually watches our program. So keep doing what you're doing. You never know who you're going to reach. We here keep it thorough. We want you to keep it thorough. Stand firm on your square. Stand firm on your square. Your ancestors is watching you. But until next week, we out here, y'all. Take care. Be well.
Yeah.